Hey guys, it's Ania today. Adam is helping out, moving stuff around, so I'm gonna take care of the vlog for now. This is day, I think this is day 36 or 37. I'm not 100% sure. Today we filmed Will's 1 minute, and we're gonna film my 3 minute, but the power got shut off, and somebody's coming from 2 to 4, so yeah, we gotta all that. But we're just gonna film one scene today instead, and we're gonna post one. Oh, I'm talking to the, yeah, I'm doing the vlog today. Francis, you want to be on camera or no?
Yeah.
Oh, Nate, say what's up. Yep. I don't know what else to do. Adam always just like,
What is that? What do you think your edit will be there for?
The problem right there with my edit. They told me my edit has to be done by next Friday.
There's Bryson.
I know. I'm so scared.
It's a lot of money.
I can't record Logan. We be charging $1,000 for 1 minute.
The remote? Yeah, it's right here.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
We out here.
Yep, this is. Oh yeah, we had to move locations because of the power. So, what is this place called? The Marketplace, right?
Yeah, the Marketplace, WLCAC.
Yeah, we had to move to the Marketplace from our normal station. Yeah, Phoenix. Oh, there we go.
Dope though, outside of the echo.
Yes, it is really cool. But it's not practical for filming.
Yeah, it's way more comfy than them chairs we be sitting in. Now. This
Yeah.
is relaxing. I get used to this.
Yeah, this is kind of a nice vibe.
I was gonna say you want to give them a tour, but there's not.
Nah, I ain't getting that. I'm tired.
For yours, 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Are you guys all here? You want to pop it up somewhere, like up there, like behind us?
I don't want to take over.
Or you're good?
I already know.
Sean, what you doing over there?
That's the name.
Oh, he locked in on script.
That is the name of our group chat.
Okay.
It's called Peak Cinema.
Peak Cinema.
That's funny.
What's this, Hulu? We back, y'all. Day 42. Time for a color grading class. I've been waiting for this for a minute. Need my film to look crisp. Everything's happening right on time too, right before the film. This is a physical color grading hardware, y'all. Look at that hardware piece. I see it on DaVinci Resolve with the 3 circles, but that's how it looks in real life. With the dials and the encoders, all that. We out here. Let's get this frame up, and I want to start it once the class starts, yeah. So we can get, I only have about 10 minutes on this. Get how much we can get on there. Oh, color theory 101. Let's go. Boom, boom, boom. Gotcha. Skiva.
I just thought that wasn't interesting. I thought it was boring, so I kind of took my own artistic approach towards it. This is me back in the day. I had a few different colors of hair, but this is one of the shirts that I made for my company, and I just started telling people about my company and promoting it, and then eventually it just started to like actually pick up, and people wanted to support what I was doing. And one of those places was called Parallax. Anybody know what Parallax is? It's an editorial company. They're based here in Los Angeles, but they cut projects like Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, and The Legend of Pochi. And it was through just helping out in those kinds of spaces that they started to take on to what I was doing, and then wanted to ask how they could support, and then it actually manifested into literal support, whether it was equipment or getting me projects or introducing me to new clients. And And it's really important to do that if you do want to pursue a career in color, because your community is what's going to help you propel. Because directors may work on just a few projects a year. Colorists usually work on like 5 projects a week. The turnaround in color is a lot quicker, partially because it doesn't take as much time to cover the project as it takes to actually get it funded and pitch it and shoot it and edit and all of those different things. So colorists are often tasked with working on so many different things at once, and in order to do that, you have to have a community that can support you through that, because you can try to pitch yourself to folks, but it's important to have people that are out there also helping you get work and talking about what it is that you do and how great it was. So, you know, you can't really be a independent colorist in that sense and kind of just keep to yourself and make your stuff. Like, you actually have to be out there and building an active community. So yeah, this is just sort of the website that I had for my color company. I closed it in 2021 because it got to be too much for just me to do, and I just wanted to go work for a larger color company so that I could actually learn more, and then also have more support, because I'm just one person. So that eventually trickled over into a really wide array of projects that I've done. I've done Super Bowl commercials, I've done feature films for Netflix, Hulu, yada yada, all those different things. And there's been a lot of really great experiences and all that. So I'm gonna show you all just like 2, I think, quick projects to show an example of what you can kind of do with color, and then also to give you a sense of what my work is. Can everybody see this all right? There's a lot of daylight, so it's not the ideal setting to kind of view this in, but I'll just go ahead.
Will you protect this house? Will you protect this house? Will you protect this house? We got London on the track.
How's quiet? Nah, you good. Refresh, reconnect. Yeah, I did. No, you good. Bryson type. Here.
Color grading tutorial. Technical difficulties.
Yeah. It's a small world, so it's probably possible.
Will you protect this house? Will you protect this house? Will you protect this house? We got London on the track.
So that was a commercial I did for Under Armour, I think 2 years ago.
Will you protect this house?
And what was so cool about it is that most of it was not shot on film, even though it looks like it was shot on film, and a lot of that we actually achieved in color. And one of the cool processes that you can do in post-production is that you can shoot on an entirely digital format, and you can kind of tweak it and manipulate it to look like film. but then you can send that off to a company that will essentially transfer that over to an actual celluloid, so you can actually have a 35 millimeter or 16 millimeter print of your film, but you shot it on digital, so that gives you the flexibility to make mistakes and do all these things and correct it in post, and then run it through film and still have that celluloid like density in your project. Now that's a process that sometimes can be expensive, sometimes it's not, but that's one of the wonderful range of possibilities of what you can do in post, and have some fun. And then last projects I will share, I think.
Whoa. Go back up. Please tell me that's not what I think it is. That? The PG Lang? With.
I guess we can watch that one.
Yes. No way. Baby Keem. Heck yeah, like Baby Keem. This is Kendrick's company. No way. This is small world. Wow. That's fire.
Yeah, and that was a commercial with Converse.
Yeah.
PG Lane. And it was fun. It was cool. And that was all shot on digital. Although it does have some film-like qualities to it, we were able to achieve that in the gray, but that was primarily an all-digital project. So yeah, that's some of the work that I have done. Any questions or anything about what you saw, process, etc.? It's all good if not.
I have one question. I don't know if it's like completely related to what we saw, but
Can you speak up a little bit louder? It's just hard to hear.
yeah. Could you explain what a LUT is?
Yeah. A LUT's called, it's basically an abbreviated term for look-up table. You know how you can save presets to your phone and things like that if you edit in like Instagram or Visco or whatever it is? Basically, a LUT is a more complicated version of a filter. And what you can do is you can create LUTs from scratch. You could also take LUTs that you download online. If you all already know how to use LUTs, I can share some of mine with you all, and you can kind of mess around with them. But you can download them, and then you can kind of reformat them a little bit, and then resave it and kind of build something of your own, or you can start from scratch. But LUTs are great because it's just a quick way of seeing what the color could potentially look like. For example, a lot of commercials, when I look at them before I grade them, they'll send me a version of it that has like a temporary LUT on it because that's the direction that they want to go in. Now that may not be the direction we actually render with,
But it's a reference.
It's sort of like a temporary, like a sketch to like consider how we could achieve what colors or what's working, what's not working. Sometimes people are really happy with the LUT and they just rather me use their LUT and then just do really simple modifications, which is sometimes easy and sometimes it's annoying because there's so many different ranges of possibility that you could achieve with color, but let's just often simplify the process and kind of give a taste of what something can be.
And you have your own LUTs?
I do. I have a lot of LUTs. I have a lot of LUTs that I've made, that I've inherited. I have different LUTs that mimic different film emulsions, sort of like prints like Kodak LUTs or modeled after different film stocks and things like that, which I'll make sure that you all get access to.
Ooh, hello.
But just be careful with LUTs because sometimes they don't work on every single shot depending upon how the shot was actually made. Some LUTs might be made for daylight, others might be made for nighttime. So just be mindful of that. But also, don't be afraid to mix different types of LUTs too. You don't have to stick with the same LUT for an entire project. And I think that's something that I'm really passionate about when it comes to color, is that not everything has to be perfect. Things can be fun and you can experiment. You don't have to make something look like how somebody else's project looks. Make your project look the way that your project is meant to look, kind of thing. But yeah, that's a
Thank you
long-winded
so
answer.
much. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? No? Okay, cool. I'm just gonna walk through a quick presentation. It's like 4 slides, just talking a little bit about color. It seems like you all already know quite a bit, more than most people do, which is great. And color grading is just the post-production process of adjusting and enhancing colors in a video or image to achieve a desired visual style or atmosphere. One of the things that has been pretty popular in color these days is where people will shoot in daylight and they will try to make it look like it's nighttime. Exactly. That's a great example of that, because a lot of times when you shoot at night, you kind of run into certain issues, especially when it comes to certain skin tones, and then, it depends on what the actual setting itself is. And so the cool thing about day for night is that you can get levels of exposure that you just would have a really hard time getting at night. And then it also gives you a little bit more flexibility to kind of choose between different times of day. It's like, yeah, you shot at daylight in the middle of the day, but now you can manipulate it for morning or for night or whatever it might be, because sometimes the intention shifts. And so it's better to kind of create less boundaries, if you will, so that you have room to kind of shift things in different directions in post. And it's done for commercials, music videos, short films, and features of all different types. The process itself, it usually takes a team of people. It includes engineers, producers, colorists, DPs, directors, and creative agencies. So when you're working on a commercial as a colorist, it's typical best, you have a producer that's communicating with the team, the director, the DP, when the session is. Sometimes directors and DPs are cut out of the process entirely when it's a commercial, because it's for advertising. And the purpose of commercials is to generate some sort of capital or some sort of profit. And so there's usually an agenda for a commercial that is basically dictated by an agency that has a relationship with the client. So for example, I did a job for Shopify. It's like one of those online platforms where you can buy things or where people get to sell stuff. And there was a director or DP that I have a lot of respect for, but the client and the agency didn't want the director and the DP to be involved because they wanted to do what they wanted to do, and they didn't really care what the director or DP wanted. And that's kind of the exchange and the risk that you take doing commercial work, right? But you also have to pay your bills. And you have to realize who's paying your bills and paying you to do this thing. So sometimes there's a cutoff. And in that particular scenario, I'd never talked to the director or the DP about color. I only talked to the agency, and I did what the agency wanted to do. That's just how it is sometimes. Sometimes you have other scenarios, like the Under Armour commercial that I shared with you all, where the director and DP were heavily involved, and the agency respected that. And the agency was like, let them do what they want to do. We just want to look at what they did at the end of the day, give minor notes here and there about the product colors themselves. And that was it. And it was great. And then you leave with a really happy director and DP. But it doesn't always look like that. Yeah.
Who'd you talk to for the PG Lane thing?
That was like through a filtered sort of like process. It was mostly Dave giving notes, but it was all communicated through like an assistant type thing. And that's just sometimes what it is. But then also the reality is sometimes you work on projects that never come out. And I've been through a lot of that. And sometimes you work on projects that you have to walk away from because it's not working, or because money's not there anymore, how you're being treated, or they change directions. Sometimes you'll hop on a project and it seems like it's great, and then out the blue they decide they want to go in a different direction for whatever reason, and you get dropped from the project. That's like the reality of film. But also it's important to develop a sort of like a detachment muscle, if you will, where it's like you can have control over the things that you make and that you create. But when you're being invited onto other projects, it's a privilege, and it's even better privilege if you can pay some of your bills with that money that you get. But understanding of, you know, how you can release things. Some things are meant to be and some things aren't. You know, there have been projects that I've done where I was putting my all into it for 10 months and, you know, realized this is horrible, these people talk to me crazy, this, that, and the third, and I walked away from the project and I was heartbroken, but that's a decision I decided to make only to find out that the project's never gonna be released. So it's like, oh, I should have walked away much sooner, but it's those kinds of experiences that sort of help you develop a muscle memory or sort of like strengthen your muscles as a filmmaker, because when that happened, it really messed me up and it was really uninspiring and unmotivating. But I look back at it now and I'm like, that's one of the best things that could have ever happened to me. And that's the reality of working in this business, especially in color, because people have different relationships to color. People like different things. Some people might like things that were shot in the 1970s, whereas some people like things that were shot in Japan on certain film stocks by certain filmmakers, or some people might like things to not look like they have any color whatsoever. You know, I think, for example, like Solange sort of has somewhat of an aesthetic where it's like extremely sort of like desaturated and very soft, and that is the direction that she likes. But in other projects, say like, you know, a music video for Kendrick Lamar, it doesn't necessarily look like that. So it's just like all over the place. But I think the beauty of color is recognizing that everybody has a different relationship to it, and it's all equally as valid. You know, like you might want to, you know, you're working with somebody and you're like, I want more contrast or I want more saturation. That's based off of your lived experience, and that's beautiful. Whereas somebody else might, no, I want less contrast, I want it to be brighter, you know, and that's beautiful too, and that's based off of their experience. And so that's something to always think of mind. That's something to always keep in mind when you're thinking about colors, that it's subjective. And you don't have to yuck anybody's yum, you know what I mean? But also don't be afraid to like what it is that you like because you like it, not because that's what so-and-so video looked like and I want it to look just like that. No, focus on what it is that makes you happy and does the things that you want color to do within the context of your film. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Yeah, and then some of the most popular programs that are used to color, let me stand up, it's a little hot, that are used to color include DaVinci Resolve and Baselight. This here is a panel. This is a color grading panel. There's different versions and brands that make these. I'll pass it around. It's not heavy, but it's not as light as it actually looks. But this is a kind of one of the smaller panels that people use. This is what I use when I go travel. If I do want to do color, pass it around.
Oh dang, so it's not like all just on the computer?
Yeah, it can be all done on your computer, but it's as you become more experienced in color, you start to learn, oh, it's nicer to have something as like a separate dedicated thing that can do all these different tricks and buttons, whether
Colors,
it's like messing around with contrast or messing around with your midtones or your lift, your gamma, your gain. And these are all tools and things that are on Premiere, but there's slightly like more watered down versions of it.
DaVinci prioritizes more color, would you say?
They prioritize more color, but I would say that DaVinci is building itself up to be a company that can do all of the things.
But that's the same
Because they want to
company.
compete with Adobe.
Yeah, Blackmagic, that's the same company as
Yeah,
the one that
same
made
company, so They
DaVinci.
make cameras, they make a lot of things. It's a monopoly. But what I love about the smaller version of these panels is that they're portable, they're much more accessible, they don't require a ton of hardware like other systems and programs do. Like this only works with DaVinci Resolve. But another great program that I really like is called Baselight. And Baselight, the projector turned off.
Fire.
I'm like, it wasn't inactive for that long. Yeah, so it's called Baselight, and that's owned by a company called Filmlight. And once we get the projector working again, I can show you all what this looks like when it's set up versus
Is it free or
Baselight.
no?
Baselight isn't free, and that's my issue with Baselight. Although, yeah, no, this is fun. Yeah, sure. I'll take a picture.
How much those usually cost?
It depends. This particular one, I think, is about 2 to 3. It's better if you can get a used one. 1,000. Right. Thank you, Bryson. And once we get these pictures up, I can show you all how different color suites are often set up. But what I love about this is that it honestly looks like a DJ turntable situation, you know, the smaller, like, Pioneer models. And so I think that there is a lot of synergy between music and color and what is possible with music and color. You know, you do music, you know what I mean? You do music wherever you are, I'm sure. And I think what I love about Black folks and folks of color and when it comes to music is like, that is our shit. You just can't compete with what it is that we've been able to do historically. And I think that color, you know, I'm really fighting for it to be a more accessible medium, but I think what we do with music is something that we can also do with color and what we can do with our films. So this is an example of 2 different color suites that I've worked in and have had. This is like when I'm working remote and traveling using the situation here. I just have 2 screens up. This is DaVinci Resolve, which some of you seem to have some familiarity with. Oh, it's supposed to be setting that. And then,
If you cross like the white and then
oh, if I do this thing, cross it, okay. This here is back when I had a nice office at a nice post-production studio, and this is when I had Baselight. So if you see here, you know, I have a 3-screen setup. I keep doing that. It's just natural, so for me to, but it's like a 4-screen setup, but it looks like a crazy like spaceship situation, and all these buttons and things
You can't,
correspond
no
to the
way.
program. But it's also a lot of fun too. You know, once you actually get comfortable and learn how to use the tools and things like that, because it starts to feel like you are running the spaceship. So yeah, those are just like 2 different color suites, what it can look like. Today we will be working in Adobe Premiere because it's easier to get comfortable with color in Adobe Premiere first. That's where I started, and so that's where I like to teach, and it'll be a lot easier for you all because you guys are all working on films that you already have loaded up in Premiere right now, right? Yeah? Okay, cool. So that's a little bit about color, some color history, what it can look like. Any questions about that? Anything? Cool. Okay, cool. All right, so everybody open up your laptops, open up your projects. And I'm going to open up Premiere as well, just using some of the test footage that they have in Adobe. And I'll show you all a couple of different workflows, tips and tricks, on how you could be coloring your films. And I'll give you all some time to actually work on those things, and I'll be engaged and walking around. And you can ask me questions on how can I do this or how can I do that. That's the extent of the workshop today. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay, cool. Is there anything that anybody has a question about when it comes to coloring their film specifically? Has anybody thought
How
about
do I make mine look like the film look? How do I get there?
You know, I think it depends on how you shot it, and I'll look at it with you a little bit to give you
Like, I got some.
suggestions on how you can actually achieve that. But looking like film, it depends on what kind of film stock. What often helps for me when I'm working with clients or collaborators is they like to come into color sessions with some sort of reference material. Reference material, I think, can be helpful. It can also be limiting. Because if you want it to look exactly like, you know, Orion, like Sinners, for example, then, you know, that may not be realistic. Exactly, you know, but at least to have something to sort of start the conversation about what it is that you like, because I think sometimes images can communicate Cage.
Mainly Kendrick Lamar's music videos. I like his Kendrick Lamar's music videos, his newest stuff like
Yeah.
Count Me Out, Not Like Us, even some of the old stuff like Element.
Yeah.
The tone he uses, the colors he chooses to pick, especially for the new stuff, like the way he does in 4.3 aspect ratio, and the colors are so soft, like they're straight out of film camera.
Yeah.
How do I get that look or close to it? I don't got no Alexa camera.
Okay.
I know that Ari camera. I don't got
Yeah.
that.
We can work on that.
Color guards, yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of that is achieved, I think, through contrast and working a little bit in your midtones, but then also adding grain.
Gray.
Grain can be a lot of fun. So Premiere, you have the flexibility to add grain to your footage, so we can look at that together.
I got a little. My bad. Oh, I have this little 2-minute footage, a film that Bryson took of me playing the piano.
Okay.
This is what I'm gonna use for my template
Okay.
to work
Great.
on.
Great. Yeah, what do you want to get to?
I was gonna ask about the LUTs, right?
Yeah.
So you say you work on Baselight and DaVinci Resolve mostly. So like, you don't go like to different classes, like you use
Yeah, so
those?
normally there's different flavors of LUTs. In the same way, you know what a JPEG is versus PNG versus TIFF kind of thing. It's a similar thing for LUTs as well. Mostly across the board, they work in all different programs. Sometimes there's LUTs that are made for specific programs and to do specific things. But the LUTs I will give you all will be ones that you should be able to put into Premiere quite easily. And what I'll do is I'll basically screen record myself putting that into Premiere so that you know how to load the LUTs yourself. And I'll do that sometime next week.
I
I'll make
just
sure
got
you
a
all
quick question, just wondering, like, how
Yeah.
many LUTs do you think, like, how many LUTs do you have?
do I have? I have like a library, maybe like a little over 100 LUTs. I mean, it's like, LUTs are also really helpful in like fast-paced like environments too. Just having those on hand. Like, do you like when you go to the eye doctor, for example, like okay, A or B, okay, C or D. It's that kind of thing. So LUTs are
So
often helpful.
it's like
in
the
that
same as the vocal
context.
preset in production.
You said what?
It's like the same as a vocal preset in production.
Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah. It
Got my
just helps
reverb
you
set,
really
auto-tune
quick.
set,
You're
I
like,
guess
get
it's
started.
like, it's like a preset.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have a question?
My question is, for Adobe Premiere, like when I make my films, I wanted to make it look like it's shot on film.
Okay, similar thing.
Yeah, but then like I can't remember with the grain and all that, but it just looks so grainy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and then I go on YouTube. I go for YouTube for a lot of things, but there's no clear tutorial on how to actually make it look like film.
Yeah, I think Premiere has its limitations when it comes to color because Premiere isn't necessarily designed to be a color program. It has a color offering, but Premiere is about editing.
Yeah.
Whereas what's great about DaVinci Resolve and what they're doing within their software as they get better and better with each year is that it is a color program, but you can also edit and you can also do some VFX, and it's doing more so that you can actually create, all those things. But Resolve honestly has better tools, in my opinion, to actually render a proper film look. Whether they actually have a preset in Resolve called the Film Look Creator.
Oh, I saw that earlier. I think you have to pay for that.
Yeah, you might have to pay for that. I'll look into that to see if there's anything that I can do on my end. But what's great about the Film Look Creator on Resolve is that it will break it down into all of these different things where you can choose a look, whether it's a tungsten look or something sepia or whatever it is. But then you can also control what type of film stock the grain itself looks like, whether you want to do like a 16 millimeter grain, 35 millimeter, or whatever it might be. But then you can also add some halation and some bloom and those other like unique characteristics that are only specific to celluloid. But Resolve just is better at doing that. And Premiere, they're trying to catch up, but it's like you have what you have. But there's some ways that we can, a couple of different examples that I can share.
Color grading.
Real.
Oh, okay, I have 2 questions.
Okay.
This looks fire.
One, do you know how to make a LUT on?
You can't really make LUTs that are sort of like foolproof in Adobe personally.
Give me like a preset?
Yeah, you can save your presets because you can also save your adjustment layers. So in the same way that you can rename a clip, you can rename your adjustment layer to be a specific thing.
Oh, so this is basically like
Yeah, it's kind of making your own preset, but it will be local to your project in your clips list.
asked for something specific, so I have a project that I'm doing right now, my 3 minute, and I want a certain coloring. I was wondering, could you show me some? I kind of want I want like grays.
You want grays and blues? I don't have the looks on me right now. So I'm gonna send them to y'all. But I'll keep that in mind. But also we can work on something together too. That looks like
For sure.
Okay, let's bring our attention back over here. So yeah, you can do all different types of things with a curve. If you want to play around with red, green, and blue, have at it, because I think how you learn color is just through experimenting and playing around. You know, it's okay to create things that are ugly. It's okay to create things that are beautiful. I think, you know, a lot of times people get really caught up in the perfect image, whereas sometimes you can do things that don't look technically correct, but they're interesting and they can be fun, and sometimes they can really help what it is that you're trying to do in your story. So don't be afraid to really go crazy like how this one is. This is just me kind of messing around. Okay, so those are curves. I'm gonna turn this off for now, just because that's not really the film look I was going for. But what you can do next here is you can add some grain to sort of help support. Actually, they removed the grain thing here that there used to be. They used to have a option here where you could add grain to your footage. You can blur it, let's see, but so I guess to add grain, what you're gonna have to do is go to your effects window. So your effects window is gonna be down here where your project lives. So you have project, media browser, libraries, info, and then effects. And then inside of your effects panel, just type in noise. And that lives in the noise and grain video effects folder. And you can take that and drag it over on top of your adjustment layer. And then everybody follow that? You got that? So go to effects.
You just drag it.
Yeah, you just drag it on top of your adjustment layer.
Oh, I see.
And so once you do that,
Yeah.
okay. So once you add that to your adjustment layer, you now have to go into the effect controls panel in order to actually add the grain in and adjust it to the way that you like it. So if you go up to the top where it says import, edit, export, if you, right underneath that, there's a thing called effect controls. And then it gives you the option to slide the scale to add in some noise. Yeah, under amount, so you can slide the percentage there. It gives you-
Oh, the film look. Let's go. We're here.
It
We have
gives you
arrived.
A little bit of flexibility. There's different types of noise. You can
Peak
add color
cinema.
noise,
This is exactly what I
or you
needed.
could remove the color
Oh, it's
and
up.
just sort of
It's
keep
up.
the
It's
texture
up. It's
by
up.
unclicking use color noise.
It's up. It's up. It's up.
And you see that takes away, you know, like the magenta of the noise and all those things.
It's
that's in here.
up. It's up.
And yeah, that's kind of like a quick, easy film look. There's a lot more tools in Resolve and programs like this, like where you can actually achieve a film look that is one-to-one to an actual Kodak stock, which is really cool. But for the sake of what you all are doing in learning color, I think that this is enough to keep you busy.
What?
Let's see here. You can also mess around and add a little bit of a vignette. You know, if you slide it to the right, it basically, yeah, it'll be saturated a little bit or go darker. You can change the size of it.
It's over. It's over.
What is it called?
Vignette.
Right.
I was even really not.
Wait, how do we get to that page?
So
Lumen
in
color.
your Lumetri color panel, that's where all your color stuff lives because you switched over to a color workspace. Vignette is the last one. And then you kind of just mess around with the midpoint,
Okay.
the amount of vignette or de-vignetting, if you will. And yeah, this kind of has somewhat of like a film
Roundness.
to it. Another thing that can be fun is, messing around with the temperature. I think somebody was saying something about like a bluish look, I think.
I think Nagels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember, what's your name again?
Well, actually, it was Nia. Was you saying the blue
I'm
look?
so sorry. I was
no,
looking
you
at
good.
the
You
note.
was in it. I love it. Your
Yes.
age. So you
Nia,
want to do something that's like blue, you were saying?
like blues and grays, kind of like
Okay. So let's work in our adjustment layer. One thing
like
you can
isolated look, because they were like blues get kind of like isolated and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's like a theme or like a meaning, like an emotional sort of relationship to wanting to go in that direction.
Yeah.
So what you can do is you can slide your scale here.
Temperature.
Yeah, you can change your temperature scale to be a little bit cooler. And then maybe pull back saturation a bit. And this gives you somewhat of a desaturated kind of like blue look that I think is kind of a little bit of what you were describing.
Yeah.
Another way that you could kind of continue messing in this territory.
This class was fire. Peak Cinema was good. Peak Cinema.
Will we get our checks next week?
Bro, we got them right now. Go over there, man. Go get them. We just came back for our check. Come on. Today's payday. Go. Peak Studio. Peak Cinema. Peak Cinema. How do you do that?
Bro, that's my favorite. I've sent that to like 20 people this week.
Really?
I'm not even over exaggerating.
Whoa, look at all these pictures right here.
Oh, you want to spread them out?
Yeah. So what you think of that for the team name though? Peak Cinema?
I don't think they're messing with it.
What?
No, I think they think it's too silly.
How? I say it all the time. Peak Cinema Studios.
Maybe we should do something a bit more creative though, because that's like I know you're not chronically online like us, Adam, but if we started saying that, because that's a thing that's already everywhere. Absolute cinema, peak cinema. I think it's cute though. I think it's a nice design.
What's your alternative?
Alternative? I don't know. Ask them my alternative. I'd have to think about that. It's not something obvious.
What would you say, Bryson, as a name for us, for our production team, instead of Peak Cinema Studios?
Like 2 minutes and stop.
What would you call us as a group?
Yes.
Yeah, what would you?
Adam.